as I've always been.
President Tinubu begins top-level investment meeting few minutes after arriving in India. Strengthening nation's economy is a top target, VP Shettima declares at Banking and Finance Conference.
As civil servants, that all of us should go home.
Day one of Labour Congress warning strike over subsidy removal records mixed compliance across the country. Hello and welcome to the Network News. I am Olajide Bello, and joining me tonight from Lagos is Adeola Komiakari. You can watch this news live on our website nta.ng/live and also monitor the transmission on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. Barely 1.5 hours after landing in India, President Bola Tinubu received Mr. Gopinchand Hinduja, the chairman and CEO of the Hinduja Group of Companies, a conglomerate with a total asset portfolio exceeding $100 billion. President Tinubu, who was accompanied by the Ministers of Finance, Trade and Industry and Foreign Affairs, made it clear to Hinduja that he is in India to attract investments to Nigeria with lucrative opportunities for investors, but most essentially jobs for Nigerians and new revenue opportunities for Nigeria's federal and sub-national government.
As I've always been, it is very difficult period.
Yes.
But success is not made of an individual except from a team, and I have a good team.
Yes.
Yes.
God will help you. God will help you. I'll pray for that.
Thank you,
so
sir.
that one day we come to Nigeria where we see such a big success.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, I'll be very happy.
Mr. Prakash Hinduja is of the Hinduja brothers. They have assets worldwide of $100 billion. And in America, they have assets of $50 billion. And if I may say so, their net worth is $32 billion. So they're the type of business people that you are keen to meet, and you are keen to get their commitment to invest in Nigeria.
The Hinduja Group chairman told President Tinubu that he was a living witness to his landmark efforts as governor of Lagos in turning a coastal erosion and water encroachment crisis into a massive free trade zone where industry now thrives. This, he said, was partially responsible for his excitement to partner with Nigeria's new president to create win-win prosperity for Nigeria's talented population. President Tinubu then directed Ministers of Trade and Finance to immediately drop the terms to the satisfaction of both parties. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has now been in charge of Nigerian affairs for 100 days, and State House correspondent Musbah and Wahab in this report looks at the journey so far.
He sought, he got it, and said yes to the mandate. In a social contract, Bola Tinubu volunteered to fulfill the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. The experienced administrator at sub-national level came prepared for a greater challenge with his action plan, which has been the guiding principles of his policies and programs at the center. The journey to imbue the economy with new life began almost immediately with a popular pronouncement on fuel subsidy removal.
The fuel subsidy is gone.
We even congratulated him on removal of subsidy. It's going to be better for everybody. There will be more money now to put into education, into health, infrastructure and other areas.
Laudable as it is, that decision came with some hard consequences on Nigerians.
Can we continue to service external debts with over 90% of our revenue? It's a path to destruction. We cannot continue that. We have to make hard decisions.
But then, the seasoned accountant apparently had his calculations with responsive plans to support the most vulnerable. First in the plan was the declaration of state of emergency on food security to address all matters relating to food and water availability and affordability, while inauguration of the National Economic Council also saw the pronouncement of palliative measures to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal.
Council also agreed that all the 3 tiers of government must do certain things, must begin to be, responsive to the mood of the nation, to the sufferings of the people, and try to do something to ameliorate the impacts.
The administration also demonstrated intent to sanitize the nation's financial and business environments with the appointment of a Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Jim Obazi, a special investigator, in an irony against the expectations of many Nigerians. Tinubu's administration commenced the process toward reduction of tax burden on businesses with the inauguration of Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, led by a renowned expert in tax matters, Taiwo Oyedele.
Our aim is to transform the tax system to support sustainable development, while at the same time achieving a minimum of 18% tax to GDP ratio within the next 3 years.
Consistently, President Tinubu has set his focus on exploring all means to create more wealth for the country, ready to tap economic opportunities in many sectors. This he has demonstrated with the creation of ministries of arts, culture, and creative economy, marine and blue economy, communications, innovation, and digital economy.
Private sector is encouraged with the bold decisions President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken, and we hope that in the fullness of time, Nigerians will benefit from it.
And now, with the 45 ministers inaugurated into the Federal Executive Council, Nigerians, and indeed the world, are waiting to see how successful the current administration will be in the actual swim ahead in the next 1,360 days.
We will deliver for Nigeria.
From the State House, Musbah and Wahab, NT News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris Malagi, has appealed to Nigerians to exercise more patience with the current administration, which has demonstrated the will for national transformation, growth and all-round developments within 100 days in office. In a statement, the minister equally appealed to Nigerians and the labor unions to continue to support the government and show more understanding and work collectively to revive the glory of Nigeria. The statement added that in the last 100 days, President Tinubu has offered purposeful leadership and set the administration's tone, texture and character. The minister said appointment of ministers and allocation of portfolios bolstered the growing global confidence in the direction the president is taking in Nigeria. The action, he believed, has renewed the trust of both the local and international communities in the ability of President Tinubu to revamp and retool the political economy for collective and shared prosperity. The statement noted that worthy of note is the spiral in confidence of the business community and the positive economic reforms that are the primary reasons equities and the Nigerian Stock Exchange recently beat a 15-year record. President Tinubu's journey to India, accompanied by a selected delegation of cabinet members and over 30 entrepreneurs across various sectors of the economy for the G20 summit, is an initiative that showcases Nigeria's readiness to collaborate meaningfully for sustainable economic development, according to the Minister of Information and National Orientation. Several government and private organizations were under lock and key following the two-day nationwide warning strike by the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC, has a report on the level of compliance to the warning strike by workers in some states across the country.
Not satisfied with the just issuing directives for workers to down tools for 2 days in protest, officials of the Nigerian Labour Congress in Abuja, the FCT, went round to ensure compliance Offices in many parts of the FCT remained closed as workers stayed away.
We are not here fighting for ourselves, but it's a collective responsibility, and all of us must be responsibly responsible.
Day one of the nationwide strike witnessed partial compliance in some public and private organizations in Port Harcourt.
We don't believe in labor because we know what is going on. Everything is very transparent. But the way they do their things, they're not representing us.
In Oyo, John Paul reports that civil servants embarked on the warning strike to press on their demands.
I will appeal to the federal government that they should look into the plight of the labor.
Duni Adi Alao also reports that workers in Oyo State joined their counterparts across the country in compliance with the NLC directive.
It's a sit-at-home strike in order to drive home our demand.
Meanwhile, civil servants in Jos, Plateau State capital, compiled as government offices were devoid of the usual ambience.
It's expected that all our members should comply until the next directives being given from the national leadership.
Akin Jumo in Abeokuta reports that members of the NLC Ogun State chapter monitored compliance within the city.
We just went for a meeting. When I carried the second organized labor around, I just went to the air to declare the strike.
And Elizabeth Yila from the commercial city of Kano says business activities were halted as workers embarked on the warning strike in the state. Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And with me in the studio to discuss more on the 2 days warning strike by the NLC is the Honorable Minister for Labour and Employment, Right Honorable Simon Bako Lalong. Honorable Bako Lalong, you're welcome to Network News.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, Honorable Minister, the NLC today embarked on a 2-day warning strike. What efforts did the government put in place initially to avert this strike?
Well, for me and the ministry, we were also surprised that the NLC still went ahead to embark on this strike. First, when we came in, we were already preparing ourselves to engage the NLC as usual, collecting briefings from the ministries, from the departments. When we now scheduled, by today, Tuesday, we were supposed to engage with the labor. But we started hearing rumors that the labor were organizing themselves to embark on a 2-day strike. And when I heard that, I quickly, on informal basis, excuse me, invited the president and the secretary. We had a conversation. And at the end of the day, I think they were very forthcoming, and they told us the reasons why they were hurrying to get into a meeting like this. And they had already had a meeting. But I said, look, that notwithstanding, can we still meet with you? They said they agreed. And I said, okay, schedule a meeting for Monday. Because those issues that were raised, I thought that those issues were not issues that would be difficult for Mr. President. I know Mr. President very well. And I know also his actions about this issue of the subsidy and also the remedy for the subsidy. So we scheduled the meeting for Monday. I scheduled a meeting for Monday. And so we gave them notices on Sunday. And during the period, we also understand that one arm of the NLC were also getting worried that they were not also invited as the TUC. And so they will also organize their own meeting separately. So because of that, I said, okay, 2 of them should come together. Let all have the meeting. Let us look at those issues and then pick the ones that will require urgent attention. I promised them that I will take them straight to Mr. President. And also reminded them that some of the issues that I raised are already being implemented. The subsidy thing, the palliatives are already going. They may not be going right, yes, according to what they are saying, but certain things must be done before corrections are also done. And when we had our first FEC meeting, the FEC meeting, the president, the agenda on the FEC meeting also includes subsidy and the palliatives. But unfortunately, we took all the time discussing the economy, and at the end of the day postponed, yes, the subsidy aspect to the next FEC meeting. And the president was billed to travel to India. I'm sure today, yesterday would have been the next FEC meeting for deliberations on some of those issues that will be taken back to them. But I said, let's postpone. I will postpone even my briefing and have a meeting so that I will have first-hand information about their demands and then proceed to meet Mr. President on how to solve those demands. So when we invited them for that meeting, the TUC were there, but the NLC were not there. And up to this moment, they have not told us why they were not there, and also did not tell us why they will not attend the meeting, and we didn't receive, as of now, I have not officially received any notice for strike. I only saw strike actions taking place. And we also, before even the meeting, I had to issue a press statement. And that press statement was exactly what the position of the government was on efforts that Mr. President has done, on certain efforts that are put on ground to be handled immediately, and also the urgency of addressing some of these issues, especially regarding the palliatives to various states, and also the aspect of federal government.
Okay, Honorable Minister, now that you don't have a full house in terms of the NLC and the TUC, and the president is in India, what is the government going to do to ensure that the threat of a total shutdown is averted?
Well, according to the NLC, the two days strike is to prepare for the 14 days. When we had a meeting with the TUC, I told them even before 14 days, I am sure, allow the president, when the president comes back from India, many of those issues that were raised, I promise we will handle them. We'll handle them before the 14 days. So there was no need to even engage in the 2 days, because the purpose of engaging 2 days was because there was no attention, as far as they were concerned, given to them. But at that period, the cabinet was not in place. And I said certain issues will require that the cabinet will take a decision. Certain issues will require that the NEC will also take a decision through the office of the vice president, who is the chairman, just like the palliatives that went to NEC. Because without NEC taking a decision, there wouldn't have been the process of implementing the palliative. And so if the process is even faulty, get it back to us. We will know and make and remedy those processes. And then there were also issues about the wage reward, which according to them, Mr. President promised. I said, Mr. President just traveled. We pray Mr. President will come back safely, and then we will now continue from there, from where he left, and appeal to. And I also appealed to them. I said, while this is going on, why don't you allow us that time? We just resume, not up to 2 weeks, and let us get total collections of your problems, and then we now handle them holistically. So that was where we ended with the TUC, and we met a communique yesterday.
Okay, Honorable Minister, sir. Honorable Minister, aside the provision of palliatives to states and local governments, how else is the government responding to demands of workers?
Well, these were the issues, because those were the issues that were laid, not even now, but during the time they had a meeting. I was not a minister when they had a meeting with Mr. President. So during the processes of their meeting with the President, certain issues were laid before Mr. President. And so their complaints were that it is taking too long. Government has not reached out to them. And we said, no, government did not reach out to you because the President was also busy trying to assemble the cabinet, because there were no cabinet ministers in place. Now that the cabinet ministers are in place, I am their minister. You've tabled it before me formally, so that I can now proceed and reach out to Mr. President to see whether we have failed. So you have not tabled the matter before me. You are jumping into conclusion that the matter will not be handled, which is quite unfortunate as far as I'm concerned. Because we are supposed to be brothers, we are supposed to be friends, and so if you table it before me, wait and see whether we can handle it or not.
All right, many thanks, the Honorable Minister for Labour and Employment, Right Honorable Simon Bakolalang, for your inputs.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of mandate secretaries for the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The appointees are Mr. Beatrice Gerki, Secretary Area Council Services Secretariat, Lawan Kologe Idam, Secretary Agriculture and Rural Development Secretariat, Mr. Danlami Yao, Secretary Education. Others include Dr. Adedolapo Fashawe, Secretary Health and Human Services Secretariat, Mr. Salman Dako, Secretary Legal Services Secretariat, Mr. Chinedum Elechi, Secretary Economic Planning, Revenue Generation and PPP, Architect Upoku Tom Nyang, Secretary Transportation Secretariat, and Alaji Montari of the Kadri, Secretary Social Development Secretariat. The swearing-in ceremony is scheduled to hold Tuesday, 12th of September 2023 at the International Conference Center, Abuja, at 12 noon prompt. You're watching the news on NTA. We pause for some messages. The news continues after now. Many thanks for being there. The federal government has restated commitment to implement policies that will grow the economy with clear vision to reduce poverty and other challenges. Vice President Kashim Shettima said these at the opening of the 16th Annual Banking and Finance Conference in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Seated here are managers of Nigeria's financial institutions brainstorming to provide a structural transformation for national growth, Nigeria's economic growth and empowerment. The role of the financial services industry is the theme of the two-day conference, resonating towards addressing the economic challenges.
Now I must announce with pride that our decisions are already yielding tangible results, with boards, states, and federal governments now enjoying more substantial allocations. These funds promise a direct and positive impact on the lives of our citizens. Without the serially unaccounted fuel subsidies, we can now redirect our savings towards more deserving causes. We envision a future where no leader can resort to the tired excuse of scarcity of funds to evade completion of projects or delayed salary payments. Nigeria is crafting a story where the welfare of our people takes precedence and financial accountability reigns supreme.
Economic revival plan is on course, prioritizing rule of law, agriculture, poverty reduction, and other areas. Vice President Shettima said government is not leaving behind.
The reforms are intended, among others, to give the private sector all the necessary confidence to mobilize and invest more resources in what is no doubt an economy with one of the world's strongest absorptive capacity.
We'll be excited to offer our professional insights and make submissions in the budget and planning, given the quality and array of thought leaders within our fold.
This is an opportunity for us to share some of our take on what it would take for Nigeria to achieve that potential, coming at it not from the kind of inside perspective that all of you certainly have.
The federal government is also using some financial institutions in the digital market space by providing support, fostering an enabling environment, and improving access for the micro, small, and medium enterprises with single-digit loan. In Abuja, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Now to climate matters. African leaders at the Climate Summit in Kenya are making their voices loud and clear in an effort to solve their climate problems. They are advocating a change which favors debt restructuring and lower interest rates to lower emission and strengthen carbon-resilient projects and energy transition. Charles Alpha reports.
African countries continue to carry the burden of rising temperatures, despite contributing less than 5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. On Tuesday, they resolved they cannot continue to rely on promises of global financial commitment and offered proposals to reform global financial structures that have resulted in only a tiny fraction of investments in climate solutions being directed towards Africa. While they welcome a new global financial pact, they want to strategize and make the continent an attractive destination.
Playing the blame game is not the answer. A more pragmatic approach is for Africa to be a key player in the search for global climate solutions.
Our advocacy for the mobilization of resources dedicated to green financing.
We cannot continue to wait for the financial support that has been promised.
Africa, they believe, must establish its advisory banner to undertake timely research and complement available data that will mitigate greenhouse emissions. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates has announced a $4.5 billion in clean energy investment in Africa. Charles Alpha again reports that this came to the fore at a landmark climate summit aimed at attracting funding to combat global warming.
Africa's search for huge climate investment at the ongoing Africa Climate Summit is already yielding results. A $4.5 billion investment by the United Arab Emirates to jumpstart a pipeline for profitable clean energy projects on the continent was viewed by many as a very important step in realizing the summit's aims and objectives. Head of the government-owned renewable energy firm, Masdar, the United National Oil Company, ADNOC, and the COP28 climate talks, Sultan Al Jaber, gave Africa hope by these announcements at the summit. The investment is aimed at developing 15 gigawatts of clean power by 2030 and catalyze at least an additional $12.5 billion from multilateral public and private sources.
It is our ambition that this will launch a new transformative partnership to jumpstart a pipeline of bankable clean energy projects in this very important continent.
As of 2022, Africa's renewable generation capacity was 56 gigawatts. The urge here is for institutions to lower debt burdens.
We must all work together for Africa to become a renewable energy superpower.
The three-day event in Nairobi, which began Monday, is built to bring together African leaders to define a shared vision for green development on the diverse continent of 1.4 billion people. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Away from climate matters now, the House of Representatives has expressed disapproval over the alleged illegal auctioning of public property by some government agencies and non-remittance of revenue realized into the consolidated revenue of the Federation. To this end, an ad hoc committee of the House, chaired by House Leader Professor Julius Onwavere, has been inaugurated to investigate the process of disposal of public property by the Nigeria Ports Authority, Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nigeria Railway Corporation, River Basin Development Authority, Nigerian Railway Corporation and Nigeria Customs Service between 2010 and 2022.
Is to summon here the Ministry of Water Resources. The clerk will do a letter to them since they were fully responsible for this asset disposal in the River Basin Authority.
The committee says procedures for investigation will include all known global best practices for disposal of public assets and evaluation methods. Hence, information regarding activities and intervention programs by the Renewed Hope Initiative will enjoy wider coverage. This is in order to capture more women and other vulnerable groups targeted by the initiative across the country. Minister of Information and National Orientation Ibrahim Mohammed Idris Malagi Sutavis during a courtesy visit to Nigeria's First Lady and National Chairman of Renewed Hope Initiative at the Villa.
Her role is largely to support Mr. President in the execution of his policies, but she also has her own pet projects. We discussed about that and how the Ministry of Information, like I said, and National Orientation can help in disseminating that to the Nigerian public.
And Lagos is our fourth port of call, where Adeola is standing by. Adeola.
The Lagos State Police Command has assured residents of a safe and secure environment as it continues to strategize in eliminating all forms of criminality in the state. The Commissioner of Police, Idowu Owonwa, gave the assurance while briefing the media on 8 operations in which 66 suspects were paraded for varying crimes. Lane Leneke reports.
Since the launch of a special operation designed to rid the society of criminals threatening internal security of Lagos State, the results have been phenomenal.
So working in strong collaboration.
Giving an overview of crime dynamics in Lagos in recent times, the Commissioner of Police said a total of 14 firearms, which include rifles, locally made guns, 15 live cartridges, 6 vehicles, fake foreign currencies, 34 bags of weed suspected to be Indian hemp, among others, were recovered. The suspects were arrested for robbery, unlawful possession of arms, impersonation, murder, and related criminal offenses. The Commissioner of Police said the command will continue to forge new frontiers to combat crime in the state.
On Eco Bridge, 2 of those traffic robbers were apprehended. And like I said, the most unique thing about this is not just the arrest, but the recovery of this weapon from them. Spider Victor. This is strange. It's a unique weapon. So we are working currently to get into the roots of this.
At the command strategic meeting with personnel, the Commissioner announced the establishment of a financial intelligence desk to combat money laundering, terrorism financing, and other financial crimes as part of its proactive policing strategy to further enhance the capacity of officers. The command appealed to the public to give useful information that will assist the police in achieving its desire to create a crime-free society. In Lagos, Lane Leneke, NTA News.
Youths in Imo North Senatorial Zone of Imo State have endorsed the second-term bid of Governor Hope Uzodinma come November 11 governorship election in the state, following what they describe as his superlative performances in office. Faith Iguilo reports that the youths made the endorsement during a town hall meeting held at Civic Hall, Umweze 1, Ehimemba, non-local government area of a state.
Over 28,000 youths from the 6 local government areas that made up the Imo North Senatorial District of Imo State, also known as Okigwe Zone, during the town hall meeting, which could be regarded as the highest gathering by the youths in the political history of Imo State, judging from the large number of them outside the already filled up hall, said in one voice that Governor Hope Uzodinma's sterling performance and achievements within 3.5 years of his administration has taken the state to a higher level of development. The youth therefore endorsed the governor for a second term in office in order to enable him to continue his good works and people-oriented governance.
Based on those testimonies that has come from all the local government, and also observed his giant strides in the state for infrastructural development, improved healthcare, improved educational system, I hereby on this day, 2nd September 2023, move a motion for the endorsement of His Excellency to for him to be re-elected come 11/11/2023. And so, having seen the motion and having also seen the trajectory of road rehabilitation and other infrastructural development, youth development, which is still ongoing, I hereby second the motion. Senator, Hope Uzodinma is re-elected for second term. Let them stand up and say aye. Governor Hope Uzodinma has said that it is for the people, it is for the youth, it is for our women.
Governor Hope Uzodinma has been receiving endorsement upon endorsement from various groups in Imo State since he declared his interest to run for a second term in office. From Umweze 1, in Ehimemba local government area of Imo State, I am Faith Iguilo, NTA News.
Those are the reports from Lagos. But do be reminded that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. We'll take another break. The news will continue with Olajide in Abuja when we return. To stay.
Glad to know you're still there. Now let's join Benny Adams for the business news segment. Benny.
Thank you, Olajide, and welcome to business. The Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment is re-strategizing on ways to better showcase the nation's products and services while fostering beneficial relationships with the outside world during expositions. A draft document to that effect is underway.
Pursuing a renewed hope agenda by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to firmly position Nigeria as a global investment destination of choice.
And we're also mindful of the fact that, Mr. President, the Renew has 8-point agenda, and the one that connects to us specifically in terms of our sectors is economic growth and creating jobs and reducing poverty.
To re-attract foreign direct investment back to Nigeria, we need to work on so many things. The issue of infrastructure, the issue of power. Also, we need to tackle corruption.
And as experts continue to prefer solutions towards achieving economic growth, access to capital is in focus.
Should also be looking at it and how do we set up an SME bank. I mean, of course, if you look at in India and some of these other countries, you'd see that there are dedicated funding institutions that support those sectors.
And Nigeria's equities market on Tuesday moved further north by 0.08%, while investors booked 31 billion naira gain. At the end of today's trading session on the exchange, a total of 557.9 million shares in 9,818 deals, corresponding to a market value of 10.2 billion naira, were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, September 4th, today's data shows 25% decline in volume, 21% decline in turnover, and 18% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is at 37.4 trillion naira. The United Bank for Africa recorded the highest volume of 63.3 million traded shares, followed by Owando 61.3 million and Fidelity Bank 58.1 million. That is business news. Network news continues with Olajide. Olajide, is over to you.
Many thanks, Benny there. In anticipation of the broadcast of the outcome of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on Wednesday, 6th September 2023 by the Court of Appeal, it is pertinent to remind broadcasters of their responsibility to be professional. According to the Nigerian Broadcasting Code Section 313, states and the broadcaster is recognized as an agent of society. Therefore, it shall not use the medium for any personal interest, privileges and needs of its own, proprietors, relatives, friends or supporters. Furthermore, in Section 543, the code stipulates in reporting conflict situations, the broadcaster shall reform the role of a peace agent by adhering to the principle of responsibility, accuracy and neutrality. The federal government, in collaboration with the Japanese government, is currently working on enhancement of rice seed production, which will serve as a roadmap for the achievement of self-sufficiency in rice production and input substitution. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning Atiku Bagudu disclosed this when a team from the Japanese embassy led by the ambassador paid him a visit in Abuja. Neka Oko reports.
Over the years, relations between Nigeria and Japan have been largely economic and trade-driven, as both countries have been cooperating in the areas of agriculture, trade, investment, technical aid, and grants. This visit by the Japanese ambassador is to further explore opportunities for collaboration. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, emphasized Nigeria's eagerness to enhance the economic diversification agenda, while also highlighting the country's commitment to achieving a double-digit growth.
Because we are responsible for national planning,
We urge you to assist us with such economic expertise that have helped Japan to overcome similar challenges.
The minister also received a team from the United Kingdom Nigeria Infrastructure Advisory Facility.
We visited with the Honorable Minister today to introduce the facility to him, explain what we've been doing in the area of infrastructure financing and support to the power sector, and also, quite importantly, understand what is of priority importance to the Honorable Minister.
In Abuja, Nneka Oko, NTA News.
Another break beckons. The news continues shortly. Now to party politics. The national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, says the party is poised to establish a National Institute for Progressive Studies aimed at developing capacity of future leaders through transparent and visionary process. The national chairman was speaking when the APC Progressive Change Agents Initiatives paid him a courtesy visit at the party secretariat. The visit, the delegation confirmed, was to present a detailed roadmap towards ensuring future victories through previous data collection and analysis.
And the largest party in Africa, so we cannot afford to operate under standard or below standard. So it is in the view of this that we are ready to provide the party with actionable insights that allows for targeted and effective campaigning by understanding the specific concerns and aspirations of different demographics.
The APC will soon establish what we call National Institute for Progressive Studies, so that we examine democratic ideals and see how we can promote democratic ideals among the population, especially among the APC members, so that we can be able to forecast success even before the time of the success.
The chairman said the institute will assist in projecting the ideals and philosophies of the party and thanked the delegation for identifying with the party leadership, promising fruitful partnership that will promote good governance and strengthen party unity. And that concludes Network News. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.